Very quickly, we'll first get to the practitioners' insight, perspectives on challenges in investment in Bangladesh. Pore amra, we will come back to more on the policy level. Let me first get to Mr. Iman Ali. You have been participating in investment, both personally and also as part of chambers. If you could share with us, based on your experiences, not just, the challenges that you have seen with investment. Let's start with challenges, and then also some opportunities that you see coming up. Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, let me clear my position here. I'm not trying to be hold as a political content of terms of my view. First of all, I'm nor economist or socialist. I'm really realist person of my view, if we can digest on that terms. As an investor of behalf of Bangladesh British Chamber of Commerce, has been a number of case studies we have done over the year. These are some of the real success story within a year of the banking, as well as garments, as well as many other medical, pharmaceuticals. As a real success story of NRB has invested in this country. But the challenges are of the new generation has engagement of the inherited of businesses. But the business model to be very difficult to understand that my father business has why there's such an institute of develop my father idea of bringing to my homeland or my father country or my country. So my children thinking that why those challenges are untold. The terms of political grouping within the institute in certain way, which is business contesting around the globe is very difficult. Of when you have a different view within the institute, you have one political party has their influence. There's another political party with another influence within that same institute. So what happened is, the same time the product has been injured in many sense of the consistency, of many sense of many terminology you can use depending on the terms. So I believe that that is one of the challenges need to be addressed and come up with a solution that political agenda-free businesses should be continue within that, whatever business it is.
Are you talking about your organizations back in England?
In Bangladesh.
Or in Bangladesh?
Okay. So when you have institutes such as 1,000 people working in the one businesses, they have a different view within that the managerial team, and they have a clash with many. And that's the experience I have learned, and it's creating a failure of many of the cases. Many of the view end up with High Court and end up with many sense. So that is one of the discouraging message getting through the new generation. Am I clear on that?
So you are raising the challenges of bringing in next generation. What about the challenges the current generation is facing?
Current generation is facing of the investment in Bangladesh is, first of all, the timing. And when you said, previous speaker said very rightly, one-stop service is not what is actually the people when they come and see the not one-stop service. It could be the 56 days start service. So those are the things not correct. You say in the outer world that we do, that's the way you do. And that will be more maybe honesty and encouraging people to come and they will not have a different view. So I personally feel there's not only one challenge, many other challenges of the banking scenario. Banking scenario, when you need money, you have to have those investment of relating to the money you trying to getting a loan is end up with much bigger, maybe the figure of you are trying to getting the loan, and that's end of the day again is creating a not competitive. Your product become a not competitive because of your loan interest on the top of the for other that you have to invest in many sense. And that really become a very expensive.
Is that a primary, let me prod you a little bit, is that a primary constraint? If you name top 3 constraints, top 4 constraints, would that be financing? Is financing a big constraint for you? You are coming with ideas, not with finances.
Yes, when you bring in the financing, it's better to be financing here than bringing large amount of money from, because it's difficult to taking back again. This is another problem I'm sure you probably know of much better than me. when somebody trying to dividend from taking from here to the other country where the investor, this become a very challenging, not easy as perhaps you written on your different materials, marketing materials, is not easy. It is task to take the money back when somebody made the money, taking back to back where they're coming investment from. So therefore, a lot of potential investors, they're thinking whether their money have invested of their in this country and rest of the money can be financing in the local bank. And when they're doing the local bank, there's a lot of challenges.
Okay, so better services in finance, and also you raise the management challenges. Lutfey, let's get to Lutfey. Lutfey, you brought in earlier in this morning, you brought in your perspective of how this platform could help us collaborate. You also raised the trust issue. And I think that the trust issue is probably not unique to Bangladesh. I tend to, partly because of my background in math and physics, I tend to see things less of a binary but more of a continuum. It's a matter of degree. How do you see we all can work together to improve this trust issue across the space? How do we foster constructive dialogue to bridge a lot of our gaps? I mean, again, we mentioned in our very frank private space, we often talk about factionalism within Bangladesh and Bangladeshis. How do we bridge? What kind of institutions, cultural norms? How do we get there?
Okay.
And I'm sure we're not unique. Yeah.
So firstly, I need to apologize. I didn't know that I was going to be on this panel. I have a commitment not to be on an all-male panel, so I'm breaking that inadvertently, so apologies for that. There's a lot of goodwill. There's a lot of willingness to want to engage. And the paradox, Bangladesh has lots of paradoxes, as we know, is that this is the only country in the world where you hear people, and I heard somebody, I think she was a Northern European, at the airport yesterday, has been here for 26 years, and said, I came here for 2 years, and I just fell in love with the country and the people. No one says that about the UK or any other country that I know of. You don't fall in love with the country. But the paradox moves into the professionals phase. And if I could try and extend this analogy, we're trying to make ourselves attractive as an investment destination. The question is, what determines attraction? How many of you were not arranged into a marriage? You had to find your own partners. Right. So you would know what it is that results in courtship. How do you dance around, you fall in love, attraction, and so on. And it's about chemistry. It's not about policy. It's not. Arranged marriages can be about your CV and your bank balance and all of that. But attraction is about chemistry, personal chemistry. And this is a summation of little things: the experience at the airport, the length of the queue, the time it takes. By the way, when I landed, there were 4 other planes that landed at the same time. The airport was at full capacity, and my baggage arrived in just a few minutes. Tremendous. That was a great positive experience. So we've got to acknowledge the positives when we experience them. And I tweeted about it straight away because I thought it needed to be mentioned. It's the little things about the experience, the interactions. The fact that the BIDA office was closed was not such a positive experience. But it's the little things that build attraction, reputation, and then ultimately trust. The other point is that investment is very different from trade. For trade, you need to go and convince the buying officer at a garments shop in the West. For investment, you need to convince the CEO to make a multi-year commitment, much more sticky, much more longer term. And that is a completely different level of hustling that needs to be done. You need the money changer at the airport in the role of hustling for that business. And I think that is what needs to be done. The last thing is, I come back to the cricket analogy that I mentioned earlier on. Think about why is it that the cricket team has done well over the years, and I don't know is the answer, but the suggestion I make is that when it comes to cricket, we don't care too much about whether the coach is local or foreign, NRB or resident, we bring in the best talent that we can get to get the specific skills that are required anywhere in the world. And the second thing is, cricket is transparent. They lose a match, you know they've lost a match. There's no way to hide. You get instant feedback. If we can make our processes transparent, if we can keep the key indicators of how we are doing at an execution level transparent so that we can act on the feedback, then I think we can take the lead from cricket and do a whole lot better in this area.
So what I take away from there is that it's execution, monitoring, actually, the feedback loop, how open we are to the system. My sense is that on a few things, if you analyze why different regimes have sort of adopted very similar policies despite the political orientation in Bangladesh, is because of that precisely because of that feedback mechanism. The ground reality in Bangladesh forced every successive regimes to adopt very similar policy. It's not that we are designed differently. So that sort of informal feedback mechanism has always been in place. Again, one was our proximity, the other was feedback from flood cyclones. Now we need to take it to the next steps when it comes to industrial feedback, when it comes to the service feedback. Again, there I also see a need for how we remain open at the policy and the implementation level. Before I get to the policy level, to our distinguished panelist from BEZA, let me come to more to an experience in the financial sector that Mr. Ali raised to Mr. Husain, that if you could, as a managing director, not just of your bank, but more as you're familiar with the financial landscape, what kind of challenges do you see for NRBs participating and leveraging the domestic financial system or integrating with the foreign financial system? Yeah? And how do we improve the services? The second one is a far broader question.
Thank you, Dr. Faisal. It's a very relevant question, and from my experience working about 33 years over this financial landscape of this country, encountering with many foreign investors and NRB investors, I can very well explain that the main, for the NRBs to invest in this country, the main challenge and the main asking question by most of those NRBs is how secured will be my investment? And if we categorize the potential NRB investors, we can see that there are investors who have some net surplus from their wage earnings as semi-skilled and skilled labor force, which mostly comprise about, say, more than 45% of the total migrated workforce during the last 16 years. And a little over 1% being the professionals migrated, apart from the students who go for higher studies and take up jobs and residentships in the overseas countries. So in those semi-skilled and skilled labor forces, they try to invest in their own areas, in the rural areas, semi-urban areas, depending on their nearest relatives, and they are being sometimes deceived by saying that the business has failed, and many, many stories. Even they are shy to invest in properties because they cannot engage themselves frequently in doing all these negotiation issues and registration issues and taking possession of the property after it is complete, say the apartments. So this is the main issue, is the security of their investment. And for the other section, those who are affluent, doing white-collar jobs in foreign countries or doing business, they are also very shy because they cannot engage or give so much of time in the businesses they tend to operate in Bangladesh. And the next is how to handle the bureaucratic tangles to get the different documentations, permissions, and the licenses. Sometimes they approach us as bankers, can you do this favor on behalf of us and take some commission for the job done? So, and the third challenge is how to assure the investment in terms of foreign currency fluctuations risks. And the last, if not the least, is how to repatriate the dividend income. So we try to convince those challenges. Dividend income is repatriable, yes. For example, my bank has declared dividend recently over 2016 business, and all the investors in my bank are the NRBs. So there are clear guidelines for taking the dividends to their country of residence by the central bank, and we contacted with the central bank relevant department. Even if we know the procedure clearly written down in the green book of the central bank, since this is the first of its kind, the central bank said everything is written and clear. You don't need to even ask us or give us a letter seeking permission. So these are the challenges
coming back to previous question on feedback, how open has the industry been open to feedback? Do we have a process in place to get feedback? And even if we have a process in feedback, does it get to I can tell you that I went to withdraw money, and that took a long time. And this is nothing against any person. We should not subject this to any specific industry. This is, it's us, it's more of a problem for the whole society, not an institution. Let's look, it's more of a social issue to deal with. How open are we to feedback? Is there a chain that we receive the feedback? Or maybe we're just swimming in the tide that we don't have time for feedback. Are we drowning? Are there processes in place for feedback? Like, I don't think we always do. But so from your practitioner side, where do you see the feedback coming into the system?
Yes, you are right. We have a lot to do with this system of feedback. Currently, many of the banks...
Or maybe we get feedback, we cannot push through. Where are the bottlenecks?
Bottlenecks is, from my experience, is negligence, that we are not giving focus to feedback. We are not considering feedback to be a tool or experience to be gain knowledge and improve upon from these feedbacks to in case of our products and services. So, and we have to shift our focus from ignoring the complaints, feedbacks, and take it positively, that these are the experiences, these are the lessons to learn and improve the services. We need to employ people. We have engaged people in the call centers, complaint centers, and we have to scale up those departments and monitor.
Again, I don't want to end up becoming a sort of group confessional session, but those are valuable points. Lutfey, you had a point to add?
Just on feedback, I wanted to say that it's just structurally impossible to provide feedback and stay in business. There's two reasons why you don't get feedback on service levels in specific terms. One, you don't want to antagonize the person that you're dealing with, because I still have to deal with that guy. And secondly, I might have invented my own private little shortcut on how to navigate the process. And by getting you to act on feedback, who knows if you're going to introduce more processes and jeopardize the shortcut that I've invented already. So there are limits to the feedback that you can get from us directly. That's why you need to have mechanisms to track internally how things are going. And this is, I think, an important thing to keep in mind.
Thank you. We are saving the difficult questions for our representative from BEZA. So again, I would like us to not to take an institutional view. It's not about BEZA, but more from a government vision. Let me be a bit provocative. Do we really need the NRBs? Do we need the NRBs more than the NRB need us? That's a question to have. I showed you the chart deliberately. We have high savings rate. When people like me left in the late 1990s, the game was different. 10% of 7% of our GDP budget came from foreign aid. Now our domestic savings rate is 30%. Can we get the technology by ourselves? Maybe our NRBs, do they have value to add? How can we get the most? So that's on the provocative side. Second side, how do we leverage the NRB to the most effective way? From the government side, how do we do that with policy? And how do we do that implementation-wise? How can we form a broader family? Sorry to give you this very vague, nonsensical, critical question.
Thank you so much for your nonsense and critical question. First of all, I will concentrate on government policy and regulations and laws and rules. First of all, my fellow panelist, Mr. Lutfey Siddiqi already mentioned that as far as policies and regulations are concerned, we are fine. The existing system is okay. And the same view is issued in many of the international conferences. And I can mention one issue here, one such incident in Tokyo in 2016. There was a investment conference organized by BIDA there. And after the meeting, one Japanese investor come to the stage and said that you Bangladeshi people are very good in talking. Just his English was not as good as me, something like that. And
that's a backhanded compliment.
Yeah. You Bangladeshi people talk very good and your papers are very good, but when we go to Bangladesh, see that everything is not good there, something like that. So as Mr. Lutfey already mentioned that the policies, regulations are okay, but when we go to the service level or implementation level, that is not as good as the policies are. So what we are doing, especially the BIDA chairman Kazi Amin sir is here, and he is doing a lot for improving the investment climate and business climate in Bangladesh, and also the upgrading our position in ease of doing business in so many fields, and he is taking the lead. But from BEZA, we have seen that the main problem, as far as regulatory reforms are there, it is taking on and going on. And it is very easy to do that. But when we come to the implementation level, we are facing so many problems. As far as BEZA is concerned, when we are going to establish our economic zones and we are bringing all the stakeholders into the table, we are also facing the problem. And from our experience abroad, and from getting feedbacks from the stakeholders and from the investors, and we have taken initiative to enact a law, this One-Stop Service Act. And there are so many questions and so many anxieties about our at present, which is the one-stop service we are providing to the investors or the businessmen. That's why we have taken initiative to enact a new law. And in governing board of Bangladesh Economic Society, where SAR is also a member of that board, and our Prime Minister is convinced that without the force of law, it is not possible to implement all the services within a definite time frame. That's why we are going to enact the One-Stop Service Act, and it is placed before the Parliament, and now the Parliamentary Standing Committee is examining the law. I think in the next session it will be enacted. But while forming the One-Stop Service Act, we have seen that An investor has to go in 32 places for getting different NOCs, for licenses and clearances. So we have decided that at one point, it may be in BIDA, it may be in BEZA, that the investor need not come to the BEZA office or BIDA office, just they will apply online and get the things done, online everything, and within a particular time frame. This is, as you have mentioned, that the policies and regulations, we all know that the policies regulations are enough, but we have concentrated our efforts on implementing the things in due time and giving the investors what sort of relief. And as far as NRB is concerned, that as you have mentioned, that NRB is very important for our remittance. And we just, in common terms, that we salute three persons, three group of people. One is our farmers for giving us food supply, and one is our garments workers for our export earnings, and other is our NRBs for our remittance. And we think that our economy is founded on these three pillars. But our NRB, as the brand forum has taken initiative to transfer the knowledge, that is remittance, knowledge remittance. And we also from BEZA, we also believe that, as you know that, as you are an economist, you know better than me, that when China opened up its market for foreign investment, it is the diaspora Chinese communities, they invested a huge amount. It is perhaps, I am not sure, about 24 billion. And that is a big push for the Chinese economy to get the foreign investment in China. Yeah. So we also, from BEZA, we also believe that our NRBs can take a lead in transferring the knowledge as well as technology in the economic zones. And we are in consultation with so many NRBs, and last May we have visited UK, and Mr. Enam was there, and we have encouraged them, and we have requested them to invest in the economic zones, and it may be just transfer knowledge as well as technology there.
So the openness is there.
Yeah.
It's reassuring to know that from the government side, the openness is there. Given the interest of the time, can we invite some quick questions from the floor or comments, and then we will get to hear from Mr. Islam on sort of how he sees some of the concerns and the issues raised and also views forward. Questions, comments, could you be very brief and to the point?
Hello, thank you. I'm Kazi. I'm a journalist. I worked for some years for newspaper and I work for televisions. I see a very knowledgeable NRB and people are here. One thing, I covered mainly the private sector industry, private sector for more than 20 years. As a journalist. So I know, Mr. Lutfey, I know the Bangladesh economy little bit. You know, to my observation, Bangladesh has 20 more companies whose turnover now $1 billion plus. Bangladesh has 100 plus companies whose turnover is $500 million plus. Maybe it is not listed in BIDA or in NPR or many things, to my observation. But one thing, we have many wise NRBs, active NRBs globally. And they're working from NASA to many organizations. But their connection with our private sector industry is very low or no connection. We have some connection with the government, maybe with some five-star conference, academia, many things. But who are the people? The people, who made Bangladesh first, they're the private sector people. Even, you know, I met Mr. BIDA chairman, I think I can recall the 15 years back when you are in Sugar Corporation.
Your question being your question is how to connect the NRBs with the private sector.
NRBs with the private sector, for the real active player. They don't come to this conference, they don't go to the government, they don't go to the FBCCI. So they are the real player. How to connect, real connection with the NRBs? Okay. This is my questions.
Okay, so how to connect? I think if Mr. Iman Ali could answer. Let's collect two more questions, then we come.
Okay.
The gentleman right behind. And if you could mention the panelist you would want your answers from, that's even more targeted.
Is it working? All right, perfect. Hi, my name is Nurdian. I have been independent contractor in the BPO industry. My question is more from a RB point of view than an NRB point of view. With due respect to every NRB present here and who have put values to our economy, my specific questions to Mr. Siddiqi is here, how to create a bridge to RBs, to NRBs who are bringing foreign remittances, because it's an era of global citizenship, right? So everyone is a citizen for the entire global. So there are people who are living in Bangladesh and bringing foreign remittances through maybe freelance work, to maybe project works, could be any perspective. So what could be the possible bridges that could be established when in terms of creating a bridge between NRBs and RBs who are bringing remittance at the same time and playing a role in the economy?
Thank you. So Lutfey, on building bridges.
Hello, I'm Dawn Khan. I am from the USA, from Silicon Valley, and I'm on the board of directors for IT Service Management Forum for the Silicon Valley. And I'm here for the very reason that you're discussing. My question is, first of all, the challenge is, I would challenge you to really look at the global best practices that already exist for service delivery, service management. IT Service Management Forum is one of several global service delivery best practices agnostic organizations. We're already here for you. I'm willing to help you guys in Bangladesh to stand up local chapters. How do you create, the question is, how do you create the jobs for the future without really solid standards for how you manage your present? The expansion potential for Bangladesh right now is to rise above the place of subprime contractor to India. There is no reason why you could not be doing service desk, service delivery support from 0 to above with development sourced out of Bangladesh, instead of having India look to you to only deliver the part of the customer service support that you do today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Last question, and then we come back to the panelists before the summing up.
This is Maqsudur Rahman. I'm working with Window International as the Bangladesh Country Director for USAID Feed the Future Asia Innovative Project. It's an Asia regional project. Basically, what I learned from NRB, that is for money remittance and also the knowledge remittance. For the money remittance, that is, we have the NRB Bank, but to me, to keep the money idle is not sufficient. So I would request the panel and also NRB, the people, that if we go with the NRB Industrial Park, so that the industry, better investment climate can be generated.
So you are suggesting the idea for an NRB special economic zone?
Yes.
Is that?
Yes, that is BEZA representative here. He can consider on this. Another point, that is for the knowledge remittance.
Yes.
Not only the discussing or the sort of conclave, that is fine, but we need to have some sort of NRB knowledge bank as well as, so that knowledge and skills can be shared, better ecosystem can be developed and strengthened. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Point noted and well taken. If we could come back to questions, the points, individual points.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take...
and let's try to be very, very brief, probably a minute.
One person said it's regarding communication of NRBs. I think simple way of doing it, for every country has our High Commission. There's a way of database they're holding. You can communicate on that format. Social media is another one. Facebook is another one. So you can always communicate with NRB. And the business obviously is communication of your what actually you are looking for. That's really matter for response of NRBs. Another person said about NRBs. NRBs, definitely NRBs' perception has changes, I can assure you, in terms of my understanding of how people think maybe 10 years ago in Bangladesh. It's not anymore poor country where you go. It's always been regarded as a poor country, suffering. That has been changed. So that is really good news for Bangladesh. But Bangladesh has to become forward, as I agree with Siddiq. Mr. Siddiq said, it's not about the policy, it's about service implementation. It's very, very important.
Yeah.
And people has to be experienced, and that experience to translate in the social media. Okay. Probably you know that we are much more quicker than understand what actually you're getting from any incredible country. So it's very important, keep the live for your information to other people to appreciate and comments to the real experience of your feedback.
Thank you very much. Lutfey, quickly on building bridges, and then...
Thank you. So the solution is
Special
digital.
economic zone.
The outline that I sketched in my speech, I think we should talk about developing that, because I see it as it's a platform that can have separate substreams, and one of which could be peer-to-peer lending. So you could have a single funding pool between resident and non-resident Bangladeshis that are somehow curated and clustered based on some specific interests. So a single pool, that could be one for an investment track. You could have other ways of cutting and slicing and organizing things based on interests, knowledge, sector-based knowledge, expertise, and so on. So I really think we should do that brainstorming session on what that platform would look like. But it'll be a shame if we do not try and design a digital platform that the diaspora can use.
Yeah, digital platform. Very quick comments on NRB Special Economic Zone. Do you see any value, or why would it be any different than any other special economic zones?
Yes. Especially, we are following 6 models of economic zone development. Besides, we are in consultation with the BEZA for setting up a special garments economic zone or textile economic zone. We are in consultation with our women entrepreneurs, and we have discussed with the NRBs also in London to set up special economic zone for the NRBs. We don't have any reservation or anything like that. If any investment from NRBs, they want to set up any special economic zones, they can come to us, and we always welcome any sort of investment, and NRBs are always welcome. So we don't have, we are very much interested to set up such an economic zone with the NRBs.
Okay. So bottom line message, everybody is welcome. Thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to invite Honorable Executive Chairman of BIDA, Mr. Islam. If you could kindly come up to the podium and share your views on things, our aspirations, our complaints. You yourself have been NRB for some time. So.
Thank you. We heard the speakers, we heard the panelists. And for me, this has been a very rich learning experience. And when Lutfey was speaking, I could see where all that come from. Thank you, especially for emphasizing on the services. As you heard from Faisal, we have achieved a lot. Between 2010 and 2016, the per capita GDP of this country has doubled. And we are eyeing another doubling within the next few years, not later than 2023. That's the kind of expansion happening in this country. However, there is no reason for complacence. Honorable Prime Minister has set a target for this country. By 2021, we have to be higher middle, and by 2041, we have to be a high-income country. What does that imply? আমরা যখন বলি যে আমরা উন্নত দেশ হব 2041 সালে, তার মানেটা কি? We have to understand that. এবং ধারণাটি পরিষ্কার হবে যদি আমরা একটু কিছু ম্যাথমেটিক্যাল এক্সারসাইজ করি। এখন per capita income of this country is $1,600, 1,610. And population is 160 million, right? GDP size is around 256 billion. So, by 2041, our population, which at the moment is 160, won't be less than 200 million. and GDP, in order to be high income country, we have to have, at this point, it has to be more than $12,000. And in 2041, that threshold between middle and high income will be at least $15,000. 15,000 multiplied by 200 million. That makes 3 trillion. We are talking about challenges of transforming Bangladesh from a 250 billion to a $3 trillion economy, which is at least 10 to 12 times the current size of the economy. Can we do that? Is it just pious hopes and expectations and very little to do with the realities? No, it's not. Back in 2008, our power generation capacity was 3,000. Now it has crossed 16,000. Internet-enabled, IT-enabled services at the grassroots level in 2008 was 0. There was not a single service. Now you count. Everybody has a smartphone in his hand or her hand. And you have access to, 3G to almost any information that this world provides. So that's the kind of transformation happening in this country. If that can happen in those areas, definitely we can transform this country as well. However, that transformation has to be not marginal, not incremental, it has to be exponential. That's the kind of transformation we are talking about. And that requires, that is something not of particular group or particular sector or particular office or particular ministry. It's an issue, it's a societal issue, it's a national issue, it's an issue that has to be dealt collectively and in a model which is inclusive in nature. And there comes the importance of NRBs. We need NRBs for development. We need NRBs for inclusive development. And traditionally you talk about NRBs, there are lots of transport, the transmission, tours, that sort of telecommunication, transmitting money, this sort of thing. However, I think in countries like Bangladesh, you see, people say, well, Bangladesh is a poor country. Well, you see, you look at the decency of life that we have in this country. Even in terms of purchasing power parity, we are, 670 billion. Yeah. So, you look at the decency of life. However, there is poverty. Where is that? That poverty is in knowledge. We are poor in knowledge. And that has to go. And I believe that NRBs can play a very important role. I'm very happy to see the tagline, that's transforming Bangladesh. And we have to have a clear understanding of the transformation. And again, when you say, who will do this transformation? আমরা যখন হয় তখন আমরা সবাই খুব কি বলা যায় আবেগ আপ্লুত হয়ে মাঝে মধ্যে বলি যে আমরা করব। হোয়াট ইজ আমরা? রাজার পুকুরে আপনারা নিশ্চয়ই একটা গল্প জানেন যে রাজা ইচ্ছে করেছিল যে দুধ দিয়ে পুকুরটা ভরবে, কিন্তু পরের দিন সকালে গিয়ে দেখা গেল যে ওই পুকুরে দুধ নেই, শুধু পানিই আছে। কারণ সবাই মনে করেছে আরেকজন তো দুধ দিবে, আমি পানি দিয়ে দেই। ওই আমরা তো হবে না। This transformation has to come from me. আমি করব। And combination of all amis, সবগুলো আমি একসঙ্গে করে যদি আমরা হয়, then it is possible to make that transformation. আমরা যখনই আপনার এই ধরনের এনআরবিসদের নিয়ে কথা বলি তখন আমরা ব্রেন ড্রেনের কথা বলি, ব্রেন গেইনের কথা বলি। বাংলাদেশেও কিছু কিছু মানুষ আসছে যারা বাইরে চলে গিয়েছিলেন, বাংলাদেশে ফিরে আসছে। আমার ইয়েটা আর কি, আমি সিম্পলি মনে করি যে একসময় আমাদের চিন্তার মধ্যে কিছু ভুল ছিল। আমি একটা এক্সাম্পল বলি, আমরা একসময় এই বাংলাদেশ সরকারি একটা প্রোগ্রাম ইন্ট্রোডিউস করেছিলেন যে বাংলাদেশি এনআরবি যারা বাইরে আছেন তাদেরকে দেশে নিয়ে আসার। আমি তখন পিএটিসিতে কাজ করি, একজন এনআরবি বাংলাদেশে আসবেন, পাবলিক অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেশনে কাজ করবেন, কথাবার্তা হয়েছে। কিছুদিন পরে উনি জানালেন যে তিনি আরেকটা জব পেয়েছেন, হুইচ ইজ মোর পেইং, হ্যাজ এ হায়ার পেমেন্ট দ্যান দিস। তখন আমরা খুব আমাদের ইগুতে লাগলো, আমরা বললাম যে না, আপনি আসার দরকার নেই। এখন যদি হতো, আমি চিন্তা করতাম যে না, আমরা যে ওই ধরনের চিন্তা করি যে দেশপ্রেম বা অন্য কোনো ইমোশনাল চিন্তায় তারা দেশের দিকে আসবে, আমার মনে হয় সেই চিন্তার জায়গাগুলো আমাদের পরিবর্তন হওয়া দরকার। রিয়েলিস্টিক্যালি উই শুড থিঙ্ক অ্যাবাউট অল দিস। ফয়সাল কিন্তু এই কথাটি প্রথমেই বলেছেন যে আপনি ফিলান্থ্রপিক চিন্তার বাইরে চলে আসেন। সি, we have to have the right model under which we are thinking of the whole issues. আমার মনে হয় এনআরবিসদেরকে নিয়ে চিন্তা করা দরকার যে এনআরবিসরা কেন দেশে আসবেন, কেন এই দেশে ইনভেস্ট করবেন, কেন এই দেশের সঙ্গে ব্যবসা বাণিজ্য করবেন। তারা ফিরে আসা যদি নাকি হয় যে ফিরে আসার সঙ্গে তাদের সাফল্যের সম্পর্কটা থাকে, পসিবিলিটি অফ মেকিং সাকসেস ইজ হায়ার, এরকম একটা অবস্থা যদি আমরা দেশে সৃষ্টি করতে পারি, then and only then it is possible to draw the attention of the NRBs. এবং আমি মনে করি ওই দিক থেকে আমরা কিছু কাজকর্ম শুরু করেছি। এবং আমরা যারা পলিসির সঙ্গে যুক্ত আছি আরও জানতে চাই, বুঝতে চাই যে কি হলে এনআরবিদের জন্য it would be worth for them to be engaged more with the country. ওই philanthropic চিন্তা থেকে না, out of realistic business model. সেই জিনিসটা আমাদের আরেকটু ভালো করে জানা দরকার। অনেকে বলেন যে এনআরবিদের জন্য আপনি গাড়ি দেন, করেন, ইত্যাদি ইত্যাদি করেন। আমি মনে করি দেয়ার আর অল সাটল, আরও বেশ কিছু সাটল দিক আছে, শুধু অর্থনৈতিক দিক না। যখন এনআরবিরা দেশের বাইরে চলে যান, ফিরে আসেন আমরা বলি যে better knowledge, কেননা she is exposed to better knowledge and technology and other কি বলে যে work environment and ethics. এটা নিয়ে যখন দেশে আসেন, আমি যা দেশে আছি, I feel threatened. আমার মধ্যে কিন্তু acceptance থাকে না, rather resentment থাকে when I see an expatriate around me. আমার মনে হয় সোসাইটাল দিক থেকেও ওই ধরনের সেন্স অফ অ্যাকসেপ্টেন্স ক্রিয়েট করা দরকার। আর এমন একটা অবস্থা সৃষ্টি করা যেটা যদি উনি ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করতে আসেন, হি ইজ লাইক ইন এনি আদার ইনভেস্টার হলে পরে তার যে সমস্ত কনসিডারেশনগুলো অন্য ইনভেস্টারের বিবেচনা থাকবে, তার কাছেও সেই বিষয়গুলো বিবেচনা আসবে। যেমন নাকি ইনভেস্টমেন্ট ক্লাইমেট, লুৎফে খুব ভালো করে বলে গেছেন যে ওয়ান স্টপ সার্ভিস মানে কি, কেউ বলে ওয়ান মোর স্টপ, কেউ বলে ফুল স্টপ। সো আমার মনে হয় যে এই বিষয়গুলো আমাদের দেখতে হবে। অ্যান্ড as I told you, we'll be looking forward to hearing from you more and more so that we can incorporate in our policy regime all those it takes in order to make the NRBs engage with the country more in all different possible areas. Thank you all.